Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're coming to you with another episode sponsored by Gray Fox Games. It's fucking cold. I'm just going to get that out of the way. I am freezing in the studio.
Oh, are we in Texas right now? Is that?
It is colder here than Texas.
It is colder here than Texas. Texas is whining about like 20-degree weather.
It's
Well,
colder than that.
Deal with it.
And they had like 6 to 8 inches, I believe, which is
Of
we
snow.
of snow. not 6 to 8 inches of cold weather. Sorry.
Yes. It's currently like, it was a high of 16 in Dallas today. That's like
Yeah, I'd take
Colorado temperatures.
I'm down with 16. I am not down with minus fucking 8.
Yeah. Like, what was the high? Like 4 the other day?
Yeah.
Just to let you know, it's 15 in Arvada right now, and it's about 15 in Texas as well. Although it feels like -3 to our feels like 10. So
Yes,
cold.
so maybe they are currently worse.
yes,
Also,
And
the
they
fact that Texans are completely unprepared for this.
yes.
We all own warm clothes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Boyd is just wearing like 12 pairs of cargo shorts right now.
I liked that he was saying on the Slack earlier that somebody was flexing because they were able to get the snow off their driveway.
Yeah.
Someone owned a shovel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we'll save more weather bitching for banter, and we'll dive into some what we've been playing for this board gaming podcast. So in grand tradition, only at least one of us must not play any games in any given week.
And it's
during the
weirdly
pandemic.
traditionally not me.
Yes.
You keep just hand waving away that I keep playing games.
Yes. Jeff is the winner of being a productive member of this podcast during the pandemic.
I have like an interview with a designer lined up.
Oh,
Yeah, a Denver designer.
nice.
Yeah.
So yes, congratulations, Jeff, for continuing to play games. We do
Hooray!
appreciate it. And actually, I did technically sort of play a game that I will talk about briefly, but I really didn't play anything that's like super long or interesting.
And it rounds down to not playing a game.
It does indeed round down to not playing a game. So I played 2.5 rounds of solo Clinic, trying to learn Clinic because the Kickstarter we talked about, I think last week, is ongoing, and I'm trying to decide if I like Clinic enough to justify spending $70 on a bunch of small little like plug-in modules for it.
That's not how Kickstarter works, Adrian. You're like, oh, I know of this game. I just need to keep buying all of it.
You know, I'm trying to be better about not doing that. It's hard. It's very hard. But so this gives me a good reason to try Clinic because I got Clinic earlier this year. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I don't remember who it was specifically, but somebody in Slack was like, ooh, there's one copy left on Amazon. Or like, there's not many copies left on Amazon. I should buy it. And I was like, you know what? I actually have been wanting that game. I'm going to buy it. And I jumped on there and I saw there was one copy left and I ordered it. And then they were like, oh, they're all gone. Somebody ordered the last one. I was like, yeah, that was me. Sorry about that. But anyway, I played just base. I didn't play with any of the additional modules that came in the deluxe Kickstarter version that I have. I liked it, I think. It's got some clever little spatial puzzle stuff going on. Seems fairly straightforward. I think it'll be an easy game to teach once I really understand how it plays. And Zach's correct. My total playtime rounds down to 0 because you play 5 to 6 rounds, depending on the number of players, and I played 2.5. So I didn't even make it to halfway in the game. So, but initial thoughts are positive, and hopefully I'll get to play. I'm trying to talk Megan into playing it. She's a little skeptical. She's like, I feel like I think about hospital stuff too much as it is, and I'm not sure I want to do that for fun. So we'll see if I can convince her to play in person. Otherwise, a couple people on the Slack channel have indicated they'd be willing to play online sometime. So,
do you have the COVID expansion? You could add that on there. That'll really help Megan with the.
I do not have the code expansion, and no. No. That is a bad plan. So that's what I, air quotes, played. And now I will hand it over to those of you who actually played games and finished said games. Jeff, would you like to start?
Sure. But also Zach and I played the exact same games. So
What? That never happens.
So I will begin with the game that I owned physically, which is Catan Starfarers. I picked that up over Black Friday and finally got it to the table. That was one that I demoed for Z-Man /Fantasy Flight /Asmodee at PAX Unplugged over a year ago when it released. I had a lot of fun with it, and I was always waiting for a good price because it was very expensive. It was like $100, and I was like, $100 for a variation of Catan is something I do not want to pay, but Boardlandia had a good deal on it, so thanks Boyd, who's freezing to death with his 24 pairs of cargo pants, for pointing that out to me.
Cargo shorts?
Cargo shorts, yes. Not cargo... Well, now they're cargo pants.
Yeah.
You just tear out the middle. He's got himself a cargo skirt. He actually had pointed at me where I could find the Inis expansion for cheap, and then I was also like, oh, Catan Starfarers. So Paul and his not his old roommate in their new place, his old roommate in his new place loves Catan, so we got together to be like, hey, we should play Catan Starfarers. I think we had brought it up in our last Kingdom Death or Forgotten Waters thing, and I think I've explained it in the past, let's say back when I demoed the game. It's pretty similar to Catan. It's got similar rules. It has a nice catch-up mechanic to where, like, because you start at 4 victory points and you have to get to 15, and as long as you're between, like, 4 and 7 victory points, you get 2 cards for free when it's your turn, and then 8 and 9 is only 1, and then 10 and up, you're on your own. You're moving ships around, a big galaxy board to trade, and, colonize. I haven't had any experience with really any Catan expansions, so I don't really know if this feels like one of those other games. But we had a 4-player game. It went pretty quick. It was like, 2 hours?
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, maybe.
It definitely, like, the last half of the game was a lot quicker than the first half.
Yeah. But it was like it was only my second full game, the first one being the one I got taught by one of the designers at the meetup at PAX Unplugged to, like, learn the games you're going to be demoing. And then I played the first 2 turns, let's say 20 times. But we used the beginner setup, so we didn't have to draft locations or draft the map or any kind of that, because there's like a bunch of different variants for doing that. Everyone had fun with the motherships and, putting in the cargo pods and cannons and boosters, etc. What'd you think of it, Zach?
I enjoyed it enough, but it definitely, I know that Paul said that it was possibly his favorite Catan that now, like, after he finished playing it, he would probably have to play it again, I would assume, to, like, have that opinion be concrete, and I can get behind that. It definitely added a lot to the Catan style. Now, you definitely lose some things because it's space. You can't really block anybody, like, in terms of, like, roads, because, 3 dimensions and all that.
In space, we don't need roads.
Exactly. So you lose, like, being able to cut people off there, but it's all about, like, and it's sort of weird that, like, everybody starts off on like one side of the board, and it's about exploring to the left, or to the opposite side of the board.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's weird to have an exploration game where you don't start in the center and then, like, explore just outwards in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it did seem like it had a decent amount of variability. I do like that, like, you don't have to commit to the different solar systems to see, like, what their their dice rolls are. You just have to send a ship like to just touch it, and then you can see if it's like garbage rolls or not.
Yeah.
Because if they're like, oh, it's a 2, an 11, and a 12, then you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna fuck off then.
And they are like there's 3 different variables, and it has one of each of those variables. It just sometimes the extremes of those variables might be on the same system of 3.
Exactly. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting that instead of like the harbors of regular Catan, you like just go there and then you just get a better power or a better trading capacity. There are 4 different aliens that you can go in contact with, send a trade ship to them, and then like, you know, if you're the first person there, you have 5 different powers from this alien, this colored alien. That sounds weird.
Let's say pink, green,
yes,
blue, and
yeah.
Orange. Brown?
Orange sounds right. Yeah. So if you
Tan?
so like the orange
Beige.
alien has 5 different it has 5 different powers, whereas like the green one has 5 different powers.
Yes, but the green one will be the harbor powers.
Yes. So all of the different aliens are specialized in specific things.
Yes.
And it's cool that like you can choose it to go there, and if you're there first, you get like the friendship token, but that's like the biggest army in regular Catan, and
it's 2 victory points.
It's 2 victory points, but then as soon as somebody has like more trade stations there than you get the friendship token from them. So like they lose 2 points, you gain 2 points. So it was good to see like the staples, a lot of the staples of Catan in there, while being like translated to a more space setting. And then I thought for me at least, and it shouldn't be that surprising, the most interesting thing was the encounters that you get.
Yeah.
And I like that they have like, oh, you've come across a merchant. And it's like 5 cards that have like, you come across a merchant, do you want to sell your goods? And it's different each time. So it's not like, oh, I know I need to sell 3 goods because then I'll get something good out of it, versus like doing 0. Because it'll change each time depending on if it's like, oh, it could be, it could actually be a space pirate, or you actually get your goods. It was actually successful, that sort of stuff.
Or sometimes, like if you give 0, they'll be Huffy, or you give like 1 or 2 and you get like a good outcome. But if you give 3 or more, you might get a bad outcome.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, I saw it was cool that they thought about it well. The pieces were well done, I thought. I liked that you have your actual ship that you connect to a trade station or a colony, and you use that to actually fly to where you go, and then the ship like detaches so it feels like it's like dropping it off.
Yeah.
I liked that. And I liked that the space dock, which basically replaces a city in regular Catan, it's not, you're not making it like switching it with a bigger piece, is that you have this like hexagonal thing that goes around the colony that makes it become a spaceport, so it makes it bigger while still being the same piece. I always appreciate that versus just like replacing pieces.
Yeah.
But I think for me it's still
Catan.
It's still Catan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like I'm very on Catan, so I enjoyed it when I played, but it's like this still wouldn't be something to be like, oh, I want to play Starfarers or anything like that. I think this is if I was dead set on playing Catan, I would play this one again probably, especially to try and do like the drafting. See like any more of those.
The snake draft for your setup.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it like the 3 different variant setups,
Mm-hmm.
which I assume would change up trading quite a bit because those trade stations could be very close. And
yes.
Not specifically all the way in the back.
Exactly, yeah. And I do like that it seems to have, whether or not it seems to have fixed a problem, although it depends on whether you think it's actually a problem, that your bad placement in the beginning of the game will just screw you.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they have, like you said, the sort of catch-up mechanic of, like, if you have low on points, you're going to get more resources on your turn. And then also, because it's not based on your physical location, you're, like, in terms of, like, building roads, that you just have to send your ship to where you're going, that if you see a good spot to go, you can get there first, decidedly that if you want to actually go for it.
Yeah. The rocket ship for your ship movement is pretty cool. Of course, the downside being, like, I rolled the lowest speed you could go twice in a row, which is tied with also just rolling the encounter, which is your speed is just always 3 for that. But just going 3 and not having an encounter to have that like sort of maybe a benefit, maybe a disadvantage option kind of sucked. Thankfully, I got that space jump that let me just go wherever I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me catch up and end up with a gentleman's 2nd place.
Yes. I think that like Catan, like super purists may not like this one because it adds like a lot more randomness, and especially in terms of the encounter cards, because like you said, you could literally be on one side of the galaxy, and then your first encounter is like, hey, you can do a space jump to anywhere you want on the board, and then you just you're like, oh, I'm gonna go here, and then because they were like you decide to go to the space station, or not space station, this solar system, and because they were hidden, you don't know if it's good or bad, and you could have landed on a spot that was like fucking perfect.
Yep.
So, I can understand some people not liking that, but because that stuff doesn't bother me, I think it was a good addition to it.
And it was still pretty close, except for Paul.
Yeah, all three. It was Eric.
I think both of you were at.
We were on
10?
11 points. I think 11 points.
11, and I was at 12.
Yes.
And then Paul finished the game at 15.
At 15, yeah. It didn't help. I mean, obviously, I don't think it would have won me the game or anything, but I did, it does have built into the game a rule that those extra cards that you get because of your score, you have to remember to get them, and if you go through your entire building phase and don't grab them, you can't grab them later. And I totally forgot to do that.
As soon as you start shaking your ship for movement, it's over. There's no more build and trade phase, so you can't get your cards. But yeah, it seemed pretty like it seemed like the game ended fast.
Yeah, well, like I said, like to get that to the halfway point of the game took like 2/3 of the entire time.
Yeah,
and then it just really started ramping it up because you're getting resources quicker. You were able to move your ship farther. Like you didn't have to worry about like Paul had 2 of his colony ships around the terraforming area that he couldn't make them colonies yet until he
got rid of the ice planet.
Yeah, and so he got rid of that, which let him get 1 point, and that let him colonize his 2 other ships immediately, or at the end of the movement phase. So that was 2 more. So he had a lot of like points banked up.
Yeah.
That and then he would have been able to get to, like, say it took him 1 turn, the same turn he was like moved to get that other alien, like the first person there, that would have gotten him 2 points there too. So like he was able to get 5 points within 2 turns.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess that like beginner setup doesn't have a lot of trading ability because we only ended up with like 3 trade stations the whole game, maybe 4, with them having capacity for like 20. So maybe with one of those very old setups you'll be able to get to those a little easier. But yeah, Catan Starfarers. It's pretty neat. I did buy the 5 and 6 player expansion, but
which you said actually adds something besides 5 and 6 players.
Because if it was just 5-6 player like content, like 2 more ships, 2 more sets of pieces, that's it. I would have been like, no, fuck that, fuck you. But it comes with a 5th trade faction that you can replace on the board. The Travelers that have some cool tech cards, like one of them lets you just do a space jump every turn, which seems broken. Another one's like, if you get an encounter, you can choose not to have the encounter, or if you don't get an encounter, you can choose to do the encounter.
Yeah.
Which is neat. And then like 2 more types. So there's 2 types of like planet blocks, I guess. Like there's a pirate base that you need a certain amount of cannons, and then ice planets that you need a certain amount of trade pods to terraform that block the planet and the 2 spots next to it from being colonized, so that system only has 1 spot until that gets moved, but you get a victory point for it. This adds 2 more that require like being allies with like 2 different alien races and then 3 different alien races, aka having 2 trade pods on 2 different alien races and then or a 3rd to terraform or they're artifacts. So to get those artifacts, you have to have like alien allies or something like that. So there is a little more content there. And then it has some different, I'm not sure if they're only used in 5 and 6 player. I would assume so. Different like like Catanian home worlds. Different starter numbers for those.
Okay.
But yeah, Catan Starfarers. Pretty neat.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it at some point.
Good insert.
If for no other reason than just to compare it to all of the other Catan stuff that I've liked. I'm curious if Megan will like it, since she's a little bit of a OG Catan purist.
Yeah, this one's definitely more on the thematic side, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has those encounter cards and things like that. A little more interaction with other players via the encounter cards, because it'll ask you to compare something based on the player to your right or left, or double right or double left. So if they have a lot more cannons than you do, and you're fighting pirates, and you just happen to have to fight them, you might not have so much luck. Or it could just go to the person to your left, and they have no cannons, and then you're totally fine.
Yep. But because it's still based on the 2 dots or the 2 balls,
Yeah.
even if someone has a 2 to 3 gun advantage, it doesn't mean they're going to win.
Because they could roll a black and a blue, which is a 0 and a 1.
Yep.
And they have 3 cannons, so they might have a 5, but you could roll a 5 and have 1 cannon, and all you have to do is equal to or greater than. It's not too terrible.
Okay.
But you don't want to focus too much on building your ship up in this game because
they take all the same resources that it
Yeah.
takes to build colonies that get you points. Even though some of those most of those encounter cards, if you get the good version of it, you get half a victory point. They're like fame medals and actually like fit together like one of those, broken heart necklaces.
And he does mean though that there is a left piece and a right piece.
Correct.
It's not a double-sided piece,
No.
which we had to learn the hard way.
Yes. And that's why the game is $100.
I saw it was on
Development
sale on
costs.
Amazon for $70 right now, but yeah.
Yeah. That's a good deal. I paid only slightly less than that. That might be, 20% off or
Yeah.
25% off.
Well, that's 30% off, but yeah.
30% off. I think mine was a little,
Gotcha.
but not much more. Anyway, Catan. It's a game. It's been around for a while.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Since you guys played the same one, I'm going to pretend to shift over and say, Zach, what about you? What else? What have you been playing?
Well, on one of the days last week, who knows? Who remembers which one it is?
It's so cold
Wednesday?
I can't remember anything that happened earlier today.
Some people were playing Terraforming Mars on Tabletop Simulator, and somebody who will remain nameless on this podcast that isn't Jeff had to drop out, and so I had to fill in. And
Fucking dicks.
Hey, I didn't. Like, it could have been anybody. Adrian.
No names named.
No names
He was
named.
pretty
Let's keep it pretty low key, all
pretty
right?
vague with
Yeah.
who's talking about there.
But we were using the was it Make Mars Green Again?
Yes.
Is that what it's called? Okay, cool. And that's the mod. It's a very well done mod. The only problem with it is it can be involved, or it can be intricate, and with a lot of intricate things, like if something goes wrong, it can start to break stuff. In the very beginning, we couldn't remember if there was a way to actually start. Like, I feel like when we played Adrian, there was a way to have it deduct your money, like how many cards you kept.
Yes.
Well, we tried a bunch of different things, and we just could not figure out a way for it to happen. And then I also somehow broke my activation tablet thing, and so it would deduct the price of things, but if I tried to use, it wouldn't let me use any steel or titanium to help offset the cost, so I kept doing that one manually. Yeah, but when we were doing drafts, when we were drafting, every once in a while, when someone would hit discard, it would discard everybody's cards instead of just theirs. It may have only happened the once, but it did happen once.
I think it only happened the first time, and then Like, after that, when I wanted to hit discard, it would just auto do it.
Okay. But yeah, it wouldn't subtract the cards that you wanted to keep, like, price-wise.
Weird.
Yeah. But most everything else worked well. Also, the scoring at the end, it just wouldn't let us do it, so we had to figure out a different way to do it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But we played with...
I'm starting to suspect, so I sent who did I don't remember who I sent
Jeremy?
it to. I think it was Jeremy. Although it might have been Ian who I sent the...
It was one of those two, I know that.
I just don't remember which one of them was, and I'm not going to look it up right now because I don't have my phone ready. But I sent them the Discord stuff for the mod because it's all like ran off of, like, it's not on the Steam Workshop. You have to actually like go join their Discord, and then they have like the changelog. And I feel like one of them accidentally jumped back like 2 years into the changelog and just picked the wrong version.
No, I mean it's
broken.
Well, I don't definitely not 2 years because it had like turmoil in there.
Yeah.
But I remember it had some changes from when we last played. So but I couldn't tell you for the life of me what it was. I just remember I saw something and I was like, oh, this is different. And then that's it.
I wonder, like, so I've noticed like I think there are some mods that might require other mods to work. And I wonder if it's something like that maybe or something. I don't know.
I could see that. But we ended up playing with, it was the regular map, although it was like we randomly chose between the 3 maps and it just came up to the beginning one. But then we had Prelude, and then we decided to go with Colonies and Venus as well. But we didn't decide to do, we didn't want to add Turmoil in there because it was, Jeff and I had only played it once, and it's like, I just don't want to have to relearn this one again right now. It went all right. This one, we also ended up with someone with a commanding lead, like at the end. But like Jeff was saying, and like I see a lot of times when you add a lot of the expansions, Mars doesn't get terraformed that much. We had like a couple greenery, but like oxygen was moved up via a card, and that was Jeff because he had the corporation ability that let you do a blue like activation twice in a generation.
Damn.
Yeah. And he had was it Ironworks or was it a different one?
It was one that gives you oxygen and a piece of titanium.
For 4 energy or something like that?
4, yes. Because I wanted 8 energy production so then I could use it twice a turn. And then I also had that card that I could spend $7 to give myself an energy production that I was doing twice a turn for 3 turns.
Oh, gotcha. That makes sense.
And then I was doing oxygen twice a turn until it was over. Except someone was cheating and got the other one. Was also raising oxygen. And I'm supposed to be the one raising oxygen.
So oxygen went like just fucking shot up.
And what sucked is in the first draft, I got a ton of those late oxygen cards. And I got rid of them all because I was like, I'm not going to buy these. Why am I ever going to want to use these?
Yeah.
And then the strategy came.
Yeah, who knew that the game was going to end after the 7th generation?
Yeah.
But we had something that really helped too was the colony that gives you energy, because then it's just like, I just need 3 energy production, and then I know somebody else is going to activate it, if not me, and so you can activate it and get like 3 more energy to let you then activate a different colony. So like colonies were being activated pretty consistently, especially once I got my second ship. I was able to activate 2 a turn. I was the corporation that dealt with floaters from the Venus expansion, and what's funny is its ability, is a blue action that lets you just put a floater on anywhere, and then it also had, for every 3 floaters on this card, you get 1 victory point at the end of the game. Except that in my starting hand of 10 cards, I had the card that was like, hey, you can put floaters on this card, and for every 2 floaters on this card, you get 1 victory point. And I was like, well, that makes my thing worthless. But it just added, like, we had a whole bunch of floaters. I had a whole bunch of floaters in there. I had a lot of actions because of it. And unlike if you're a space corporation, like when people hate draft your space corporation stuff, like all the, like, or if you're the Jupiter one, like it can usually work well for you. It seemed like the floater stuff is only good for the floater person, and it is useless for other people. So I ended up getting handed a lot of them because they're just like, well, this does me absolutely nothing. And there was a card I actually wanted, so they ended up taking that. But the floaters, like, most of them don't give you victory points. So, like, I think I ended up second in the game, and I was 7 behind first player. And then Jeff was 7 behind me. So Ian ended up winning. I got second, Jeff got third, and then Jeremy got a very distant fourth. Like,
yeah.
We were all around the corner, and then he was like 15 points behind Jeff, I feel.
Yeah. I probably would have been slightly closer if I didn't lose like a tile and a half worth of plants from fucking asteroids.
To be fair, you were literally the only one with any sort of production or had any plants at any. Like, the only time I got plants, I was able to somehow get, like, is I activated the colony that got me 6 plants, and I already had 2 plants on me, and so I immediately made a greenery, and that was it the entire game. Those are the only plants I had.
Yeah, I want to say there was 5 greenery tiles on the whole board.
Yeah,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I took screenshots somewhere, but
yeah,
I don't know what I did with them.
And I feel like this sort of brings up, like, a bit of my problem with some of the like, I like most of the expansions. Like, I do like playing with Venus, but it feels like it just takes away from Terraforming Mars, right? Or, like, the colonies, it gets you other stuff, but it feels like it takes away from Terraforming Mars. And I feel like that was similar with the Turmoil, but I only played it the one time, so I'd have to play it again. Whereas, like, Prelude helps you with Terraforming Mars, and, like, the maps give you more things to like, I feel like the thrust of the game of Terraforming Mars is Terraforming Mars, and a lot of the expansions, like, take away from that and focus more on the cards in a way that leads, like, this game where we just don't have much greenery out there. I don't know. So,
but based on this screenshot, I don't think you even got a greenery out.
I got 1 greenery out.
Oh, yeah, I see it. The white and the yellow are very similar.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, you did get 1. Yeah, we had the 9 ocean tiles down, 5 cities, 6 greenery tiles, a nuclear explosion, and the mining site, and that was it for Mars.
Yeah, and we didn't have any of the cities out in space, like in Jupiter or
Venus,
nothing, or on
Venus. Like 4
yeah.
Venus cities.
Yeah.
The milestones certainly helped both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ian got like 10 points off of milestones.
Yeah, he was able to get 2 of them, and I was able to get 1 because one of them was a floater-based one, and I was like, well, I have 5 ways to get floaters a turn, so let's just take 2 turns doing that, and we're good to go.
Yeah, and I wasn't getting anywhere even close to getting Builder or really any of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember even seeing many city cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a pretty mediocre game, sort of.
Yeah, and we were all all of our points were pretty low too. Like Ian
65.
won with like 1 is
You had
60.
50. Huh?
Oh yeah. Oh, you said 65 or 55?
65.
Oh, okay.
You were 58. I was 51, and then a gentleman's 41. Because we had the Thermalists. That was the winner. And then, what was it? The MBI, where he got to draw a bunch of cards at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
And then he got plus or minus 2 on, like,
Venus cards?
Venus cards, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Requirements. I ended up with both the requirement cards at the end of the game. The requirements event and the requirements, like, blue card.
So he could have had fucking something 4 either way, man. You could have had something that required 19% oxygen.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, it was Terraforming Mars. We didn't even get through half the deck of cards with the expansions. So,
yep.
As is tradition, the expansions, you don't see all the cards.
No. I have a feeling that I think from now on it would be like I would do one major expansion, so either Venus or Colonies or Turmoil, and then like a map maybe, and then Prelude. I feel like you add too many of the big ones at once, and it just sort of...
Even though Colonies does add more Venus cards into the mix, which I'm not sure Turmoil did?
I don't remember.
Maybe one of the Turmoil factions has something to do with floaters? I don't know. I've only played it that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. I don't know. I think it's interesting what you're saying earlier, Zach, about feeling like the expansions keep you from terraforming, because that hasn't super been my experience with it. So, I don't know.
I just feel like every time I play with a lot of expansions, the board tends to look pretty barren, unless you have the corporations that like focus super heavily on greeneries or cities or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it feels like you have a greater chance of getting corporations that focus on cards versus tiles. So
yeah, I guess maybe, or they're terraforming the other side of the planet, like all of the heat and temperature, all that's just happening on the backside that you can't see.
I guarantee you, if we looked up on that map, that's the other side of it. It's going to be barren.
Yes, perfectly habitable for human life.
Yep.
I couldn't think of anything I would rather have on that planet. 7 generations. Speed terraforming. It's kind of like that triangle. You either want like quality or time or money.
Pick 2.
Pick 2. Definitely went with time and money. Quality was not there.
Right on. Did you guys play anything else together?
Nope.
In this time frame?
Negative.
I mean, yes, but nothing board game related.
Correct.
Sure. I'll let you guys talk about Valheim a little bit later in Banter, after we talk more about how fucking cold it is.
Yeah. It's very cold.
It's frosty.
It was very cold in Valheim, you're correct.
It's actually warmed up here in the studio, because like I turned the temperature on the thermostat up 2 degrees, which now crossed the threshold of where it does not get that warm in the basement no matter what you do. And so it's just been the heater has been running nonstop for like an hour now.
Gotcha.
And since I've got the vent right by me in the podcast studio, I'm actually approaching a comfortable temperature, which is nice. I don't actually have a whole lot of bantery stuff. Megan and I went snowboarding again. We drove 2.5 hours to the resort on Friday, and then we hiked 2.5 hours up a mountain, and then we rode what ended up being almost like an hour and a half of like just getting stuck in powder and trees and shrubs and stuff, because we got off trail a little bit and into trees that were way tighter than either of us are skilled enough to ride well. And so yeah, like 2.5 hours up the mountain, hour and a half back down. And it was like 33 degrees, so it was just warm enough that like stuff could melt. A lot of it was like, it wasn't melting. But like if you got snow on you, it would melt like from your warmth, and then just like the air was decently warm. And so we got down and we were soaked. It was the wettest I have ever been after a day of like snowboarding, I think, in my life. And we were going to maybe do another run, and then we were like, nope, fuck that. And so we left, we got some hot cocoa at the base camp, and then we drove 2 hours back to Denver. So we did 4 hours round trip to do a roughly 4-hour hike up and ride down. And it was exhausting, but it was definitely still awesome. The first part of the run, when we were actually like on the run, the snow was great, and both of our boards, we were loving it. And then we were discussing, because like we were the first ones to go up there. They just opened it that weekend, and we were the first ones to go up on the first day that they had it open. And so like we were talking to the owner of Bluebird, who we've met a bunch of times now and knows us like on site when he sees us at the resort. And he's like, oh, you guys are going up Bear Mountain, huh? And we're like, yep, we're gonna go give it a shot. And he's like, all right, well, hey, if you go up here, like, it's not fully roped out. Like, here's some things to look out for. We do have this like one dangerous area that's like, if you're in this area and there's an avalanche, you will die. That's like completely blocked off. So like you will see the barriers for that. It's actually ropes. He's like, do not duck this rope. He's like, there are ropes that exist in ski resorts and places that are perfectly safe if you duck under the ropes. This is not that kind of rope. Do not go under the rope. I was like, okay, cool. And he's like, and that's to your left. He's like, and then if you get it to your right, we haven't done any work over there. So like the trees are a lot thicker. There's a lot more shrubs. You want to kind of stay away from that. And it's kind of sparsely marked. You'll see little signs on some of the trees that say like end of ski area. He's like, so you should, you're trying to vie between those two areas. So we get up there and we're riding and we get to this one point and we stop and we're kind of discussing like which way we want to go. And she's like, I think we're getting too far to the left. We're getting close to that like dangerous spot. We should curve right. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like we're right on it. We can just kind of keep going the direction we're going. She's like, no, I think we should go right. And I was like, okay, we'll be safe and I'll trust you and we'll go right. And so then when we got to the bottom after all of this kerfuffle, we get to the bottom and like I have a GPS app called Gaia that I use that at the start of the day I hit, start track. And then at the end of the day, I can look at it and it'll show on a GPS map like where all I went. And then it's got a bunch of cool stat stuff about like elevation changes, average speed, fastest speed, stuff like that. And so we looked at the map and we were able to figure out that like, we were on the trail until that conversation. And then we took a almost 90-degree perpendicular off of the trail where Megan said to go right. And then we paralleled the trail the rest of the way down, just like 50 yards away from it. It's like, God damn it. Megan was like, I'm sorry. That was on me. She's like, I should have known you tend to have a better like sense of direction and stuff, and that we were probably fine. I was like, yeah, the guy said there was a rope around the death area and we never saw a rope, so I think we were okay. But yeah, it was exciting. We're going up again this Thursday and Friday, and then we'll be up next, like in 2 weeks we'll be up, I think, just for a day trip. Their season's rapidly ending, though. They only have like 6 more weeks in their season. They have a hard stop on March 28th, no matter what the snow conditions are like, which sucks. So at that point, Megan and I will probably start venturing out and planning our own backcountry trips out into completely unmitigated, unprepared, whatever wild and crazy backcountry spaces that we can find. So, yeah. Oh, the other bantery thing. So Jeff had talked about when we did our like wrap up of the season of the year, that his favorite video game of the year was Control. I started playing Control, and Jeff's 100% right. The game's fucking amazing. Holy shit.
Couldn't even fucking remember who said that game was awesome until I was
fuck
you.
I remember
I
you
talked about that game for a month.
I remember you talking about it on the show. To be fair, I did not remember you mentioned it as your game of the year.
Yeah.
Until you did say that in the Slack channel. But I remembered you specifically talking about it and it being good, which is why when I was like, I know I'm late to the party in Slack, I was like, I know I'm late to the party, but Control's really good. And you're like, yeah, you're like 2 years late to the party. And I was like, bullshit. You talked about it way more recently than 2 years. And that's when you were like, yeah, it was my game of the year on our review show. And I was like
2019, I think.
Anyway, it's really good.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. It's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Fear in some ways.
The first Fear?
Yes, the first. I mean, I only played the first one because the other ones were hot goddamn garbage.
Yeah. First one.
I've heard 3 has redeeming things from gameplay perspective, but story-wise, it's just trash.
Oh, boy. Oh boy, does Fear 3 have some story.
That's a game I'd like to see get a remaster. The first Fear. I would definitely play a remaster of that. But yeah, so Control, really, really good. Other than that, I've been playing still, always and forever. Megan and I have an ongoing 2-player 7 Days to Die game. That's getting into like day 50, I think now. And then and I'm still crushing my Rim World game. Although I did have somebody die for the first time in a long time. because I forgot to turn them into don't go outside mode when there were marauders. And while I was fighting the marauders at like my main like battle area, this other person who wasn't a combat person like strolled around outside to go harvest something and walked right into the marauder group and just got instantly fucking eviscerated. It was like, well, fucking shit. And then their horse back in the camp went mad from grief and started attacking my people while I was trying to fight off the marauders. And it was amazing because that's RimWorld. So
Okay.
that's my video game update. Now,
Also,
how about you guys tell us about your Vikings? Oh, yes, Jeff?
Fun fact, Fear was made by Monolith Productions, who are presently known for the Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War series.
Oh.
Which didn't they just recently get like the patent for their like Nemesis system or something, or was it Warner Brothers?
Someone discovered that there was a patent for that.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was something that had actually been put out years ago, but it was just kind of popularly, most recently, like become well known that because people were like, "Why isn't this system in more video games?" And then someone did the research, and that's why it's not in more video games because they
that's fucking annoying.
Yep, trademark of video game mechanics.
That's weird. Because, like, I thought you couldn't really trademark mechanics.
It has to be, like, very specific.
So someone could do it in a different way, but no one seems to be wanting to do the work in a different way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for video games, especially where it's all code, like, unless you copy and paste the code, then you're literally coding it in a different way. I don't know.
Well, it's just like how, Magic has, like, the tap,
which is supposed to be bullshit and shouldn't apply.
Right. Well, I'm saying it's just people just like twist your card or something like that, and then it's fine or something.
Yeah.
So there are ways to get around it, but it's like the Nemesis had a very like specific thing that if you want to like you said, it's just a lot of work. That it would be nice if they could just get access to that system versus making it on their own. So,
but yeah, I don't know what Monolith's up to now because that game came out 3-4 years ago.
Who knows?
We may never know. Anyway, Vikings, Valheim.
Yes,
still going well.
Still going. There's a lot of content in that. Early access came out like 2 weeks ago.
It's from Coffee Stain, right?
Yes.
No, it is published.
Published by them.
No,
I think I have it backwards. Because the same people that publish that do Satisfactory and Goat Simulator. Yes, It is published by Coffee Stain. Iron Gate AB is the developer, who this is their first game.
And which has already sold 2 million copies now.
2 million? Jeez.
In 2 weeks, yeah.
Jesus.
I saw a player count of like 340,000, which is like number one and fastest number one of all time. Like more number one than PUBG even got at its heyday. Yeah. More than Dota.
Coffee Stain is apparently also a publisher on Deep Rock Galactic, by the way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do. So this is where I was confused because I thought, like, when I heard Coffee Stain, I thought Satisfactory. Which, yes, so Satisfactory is developed by Coffee Stain Studios, published by Coffee Stain Publishing.
Aha.
So that's where my confusion lied. The difference between Coffee Stain Studios and Coffee Stain Publishing.
Gotcha. So Satisfactory is done by the same people that made Goat Simulator.
Yes.
So yeah, and then they have a publishing arm. Yeah, so I don't know, you eat things, and you kill things, and you build things, and it has the cool construction system. We actually need support. I think did we talk about Valheim a bunch last week?
We talked a good amount, yeah. I would say that the main difference between then and now is that we now have to, the stuff we can eat is more complicated, so we have to, like, do harvesting and, like, finding specific things, like, because in the beginning it's just, raspberries and mushrooms, you're just stuffing your face with it. And now it's like,
kill some boars.
Yep, now we can make sausages and turnip soup, but you need very specific things for each of them. And it's like, well, fuck.
Like entrails from Draugr to stuff your meat into and cook.
Yep.
Which is gross.
Yeah.
Can you still just stuff your face with raspberries?
You
Absolutely.
can, but
Okay.
raspberry gets you like 15 health, whereas if you eat like lox meat, that's 70 health.
Yes.
And so it makes a big difference.
And the more your health is, the more stamina you have, which means the longer you can run, the longer you can chop down trees, the longer you can fight.
Yeah. Well, it's like an early game thing that we had for food that was constant was honey from bees, because you could find bees fairly easily once you knew where to look, and then you could just get a queen bee, make beehives, and then you would make honey. So we had like 8 beehives, and so like they were making honey fairly consistently, so you could always have like 20 on you if you wanted, but you only got like 20 health and 20 stamina for it, but it only lasted for like 5 minutes, whereas the other food can last like 10 to 15 minutes, and so which sort of makes sense, and if a hearty soup is going to keep you full longer than just some honey. Same with the berries and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty clever. And we're fighting harder and harder things now. We beat the third boss. What was his name? Bone Mass? Or is that the second boss?
That was the second.
That was the third boss.
That was the third boss. Yeah.
And that one, we needed a bunch of poison resist gear, so we had to get, or not gear, just potions.
Poison resist a mead.
Mead, thank you. And so for that, we had to build fermenters to.
I've created multiple fermentation stations.
Yes, you have. But once we beat him, he unlocks something that lets us get the stuff that would let us be able to harvest things from the mountains. Silver.
Because silver's underground. It's not on the surface like copper was. You get a wishbone that lets you play a little pulse.
It's like
getting
a metal
hot,
detector.
cold. Yeah. To find where the silver is.
But in order to get to the mountains, you need you either need frost-resistant mead, or you need actual warm clothing, which you can get from the wolves that are up there. But you also need the silver too. So it's you make little treks in order to get the material to make the clothes that actually let you stay up there longer, to be able to fight the main boss that's up there, and then he'll let you get stuff to go to the next region.
Because we need to kill the dragon so we can get dragon tears, so we can make an artisan table, which lets us build a windmill and a blast furnace and some other stuff that needs an artisan crafted.
Yeah. And I think the main, one of the main gimmicks with this one too is we have portals that we can teleport around the world, which is real nice. Except you can't teleport with ore,
or metal,
or metal, and so you have to you have to find the place where you can get the new stuff, and then you have to make a new base that is able to support all those. So we have it's funny too, because near the very beginning we have our first base, which was just this very small house. With
just a square block. I was trying to figure out. It's this needs a roof. What's a roof? Is a floor a roof? Can I use a floor as a roof? Or do I have to actually use a roof as a roof?
Yep. And then our next one was no, we decided to build this one in a plane. We actually have we have to smelt some things, and we need to plant some things, so we have more space in it. And it's enemies are actually attacking us now, so we have a fence around us. The house is too big because.
Too tall
because we didn't realize there was an actual limit, and we're we're gonna make this giant house, and then right as we were trying to build the roof, we were oh, this is not working at all. And then
I had only done that because I had seen someone make a house, and they were oh, you put down this foundation, and that's where I got into all the beams and different sized beams, but I didn't realize there was weight restriction on said beams.
Yeah. And then our third base is, this one was because we needed to get iron, and so it's built near the water, and we actually have a dock, and we have a stone house that has a bunch of the different portals, because that's where we really learned how to use the portals well.
A subway, if you would.
Yeah, yes. And then our next base is one that actually, it's a smaller house, but there's actually decor inside.
You're welcome.
Yes.
To be fair, I've built most of these. Even most of that stone house I built.
No. Yes. No, I mean, no one would ever suggest or even think that it was Zach, did you build any of these things? I'd be no, not at all.
No. Or
what I
thirsty.
did, what I did was I just run around and I'm like, oh, what's over here? And I just go explore. And then I come back at some point, or I die, and then I'm like, oh, motherfucker, I have to go get my body now.
Yeah.
No, but it's been cool seeing the evolution of all of these different things, and now Ant has joined in to do and I'm quoting him, he joined to do all the menial work.
Yes.
Because he was like, hey, let me build a house for you guys. And we're like, okay,
Yep.
we'll get some material for you. Have fun. So we needed to build a base near the mountains so that we could get a lot of silver. And so that's what he's going to be doing. And then, yeah. I know there's at least one region that I've already seen the Mistlands, which is going to be in a future patch, which is giant trees with a bunch of spider webs. So I'm sure that's going to be fine. Nothing bad will be in there. No nightmares or anything.
Nope. Maybe there'll be an arachnophobia mode for that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been enjoyable, and I think for me at least, just it being in like a third-person game versus a first-person game is like doing wonders for me. And I like that it's like low poly, but it also is like like the I mean, it looks especially if you turn the graphics up, it looks really good. I think, but it's not super detailed. But it like when you're up in the mountains and like a snowstorm happens, it is like fucking white out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or if it's raining and it's just thunder, like they do a lot of good job with the environmentals. Especially if like there's a storm out in the sea, like the waves get pretty
choppy.
Yeah.
That first Iron Run, we had to go through the ocean where there was a storm, and I think that wasn't even on the Longship. I want to say that was on the Carve.
Yeah, the middle one. Yeah.
Size.
Imagine if he had tried to do that on a raft.
Nope. Hard pass.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Ant needs to finish his house.
Oh, he has really bad luck in this game too, apparently.
Oh yeah, he keeps walking like 10 feet away from the front door, and a fucking just troll hammer comes down and smashes the shit out of him. Or wolves will run down from the mountains and just fucking annihilate him.
Yeah, or he spawns in our main base, which is nowhere near a mountain, and then like he spawns in it, because occasionally when you make bases, like enemies will come attack you, come attack your base, and so he spawned, then he saw like a cold wind from the mountain comes, and he stepped out right outside of the bedroom, and got killed by drakes, which should be nowhere near there at all. And he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I do really like that you can take your gear. Like, your gear is actually connected to your character, but your character can visit separate servers. So, like, Ryan bought it recently, and I went in there to show him, like, just any questions he had that would have been nice for us to know in the beginning, Jeff.
What?
Oh, just, various just little things. And it was just funny to, like, I'm decked out in my wolf gear, and I have my Mjolnir hammer basically with the giant shield, and it's just wrecking face on anything near him when he's just running around naked with a club. It's just it's nice because like when we were playing Satisfactory and it was like going to someone else's, it's like, oh well, I don't have it. I have to create an entirely new character, right? And so it's cool that like you have a character and a character goes to the server. Like, can go to servers versus it being like you build a server and then you add characters on there.
Yes. So yeah, that's a game. Valheim. You've heard of it.
Yeah. So I did just buy it because I've been on the fence, and fuck it, why not? I also, while I was buying it, I saw that they went from 1 million to 2 million subscribers in 5 days.
Yep.
And
we have 1 million Vikings on like the 10th, and then today they were like, we have 2 million Vikings.
And that's less than 2 weeks since it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking bonkers.
So now you have the question of, do you want to build your own thing or do you want to come join us?
Oh, well, since I also bought Megan her own copy, we will probably have our own world, but I will probably regularly come jump into y'all's world.
Okay.
I have 44 hours in this game already.
I've got 29. Just to let you know that if you come visit our thing, we have, like, you can't destroy gear for whatever reason.
Nope.
So every time we upgrade shit, it's like, well, here, here's our...
There's another 2 chests of useless gear.
Yeah, so, like, you come visit our stuff and just be like, oh, well, now I'm full of iron stuff now. Awesome.
Yep.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Yep.
Cool. Do you guys have anything else for banter that you wanted to,
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, then let's move on to some news and Kickstarters.
On to Blood Bowl. No. Ant did get reelected as NAF League
For the NAF?
president.
Nice.
So may have run unopposed again, but
That's besides the point.
besides the point. A W is a W, right?
Sure.
On to news. First up in news, Codenames Duet has an official version playable online now.
Indeed. So we talked about Codenames Duet fairly recently, I feel like, and how it is a fantastic version of Codenames. And then just a couple days ago, they announced that it's now on their Codenames website that Check Games has.
Codenames.game.
Yep. And so you can play regular Codenames or you can play Duet there on Codenames .game. So go check it out. Play lots of Codenames.
It has a bunch of bonus packs that I never knew existed for Codenames, like a Through the Ages Codenames pack, I guess.
Yep. They also have a ton of languages you can choose from. Like looking here, let's see, that's 6 by 40 languages that you can choose from to have the words displayed in. So go fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the best way to play because you can just give a link to a friend and then they follow it and then you can play.
Yeah. Not all of the languages have all of the extra stuff. A lot of them have just the base 400 words.
Yeah.
Just so people know. But yeah.
Neat.
It's pretty cool.
Next up in news, Boardgame Arena, which a lot of people love, has been purchased by the wide world of Asmodee.
So Boardgame Arena was originally founded in 2010 and was fairly popular and had a good amount of growth for a while, and then exploded in 2020 because all of a sudden everybody was looking for reasons to play board games online. I'm not really sure what that was about. I just decided to skip 2020, so I'm not sure what happened. They currently have versions of over 250 different games, 5 million members, and yeah, Asmodee decided that they wanted to be a part of that. So, yeah. The press release goes into some things like the fact that they had 600% growth in 2020. They're going to keep the original co-founders are still going to be part of everything and kind of running things over there. It seems like they say here, as with other Asmodee entities, BGA will remain completely independent and current management will remain at its helm. Pricing policies, editorial line remain unchanged, with BGA continuing, as always, to rely solely on the quality and popularity of games, offering its services to all publishers and market players. So, the BGG link that we're pulling this from is like an in-depth look at this, where they talk to like other publishers and stuff that have games on BGA and stuff like that about how licensing issues work and everything. And one of the things they talk about is that apparently there are no contracts between BGA and anyone who has a game on there. It's all like handshake agreements, email conversations, and very, very short like licensing documents. Like, we give you license to use our game digitally on your website. So yeah, they say that like BGA reaches out to people sometimes who have popular games about getting a version on there, or they wait for publishers to approach them. It depends. For their premium titles, so like their premium membership, you can pay and then you get access to some premium titles and stuff. For that one, publishers receive a payment based on the number of hours spent playing the game by premium members. So if it's a game that people play a whole fuck lot, then the publisher's seeing more money for that than if it's a game that nobody really plays, even though it's premium. On the Asmodee press release, which isn't listed here, apparently they said that there have been more than 4 million games of Seven Wonders played on Boardgame Arena since 2018, which is ridiculous.
That's a lot of Seven Wonders.
That is
That's a lot
That's
of
a
it, yeah.
ton.
I wonder if that includes Duel or just Seven Wonders.
I do not know. So yeah, there's some more information here. Things like that Asmodee is definitely like looking to hire people who have experience designing stuff for BGA to like start making Asmodee games on BGA. So that could impact the availability of other games getting on there if all the people who are used to making mods for it are currently hired by and making stuff for Asmodee. They're not free to make for other things. So there's probably more of a delay to getting your game on BGA.
There's currently just under 3,400 games of Seven Wonders Duel being played right now.
Jesus. So yeah, pretty big acquisition. Not super surprising overall. That Asmodee continues to make moves in the industry.
Fingers crossed they don't. Boardgame Arena.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Good for them.
Indeed.
And that's it for news, which leads us on to the wide world of Kickstarter.
Sure does.
First up on Kickstarter, we have GhosTiny fine detail paintbrush set for miniatures, which I like miniatures because I've been painting, so we're talking about a painting Kickstarter. Extremely well funded, 66,000 of its $1,000 goal. Just over 900 backers, still 3 weeks left to go. Its most popular pledge being the new set of $44 for the fine detail paint set.
Indeed. So basically these guys have done 2 other Kickstarters for paintbrushes over the years. And they said pretty much the most common thing that they hear from backers and other people is, do you make smaller sizes? And so now they do.
Crazy small sizes.
Yeah. 000 size.
Ultra fine point.
000.
So yeah, their previous Kickstarter had 4,600 backers. So they have had a lot of success in the past. This new set of 9 ultra-fine brushes will have 7 round brushes, a flat brush, and a chisel brush. They use white nylon for the hair for the brushes, and like they show them like with super fancy zoomed in photos of them like painting stuff. And yeah, they are some fine, tiny brushes.
They also have their old set, which they have like small and large dry brushes, and then kind of your more standard paint brush sizes.
Yeah, it's 8 rounds and 2 dry brushes.
Yep.
In that original set. And then they have a stretch goal at 50K, which they passed, to add a 3rd smaller dry brush as well. So continuing to make tiny stuff.
Yeah. I am interested in trying these brushes because some of the brushes I use kind of suck. And it seems like this would be a good time to get new brushes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't do a lot of painting. I want to do more. I do feel like for me, like $75 for like, I don't know, 20 brushes. I guess that's not that expensive. It's like $3 a brush, which I feel like is pretty close to what those things tend to run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the single brush set is, about $3 for them as well. So
yeah.
For good brushes. I mean, you can get cheaper brushes for a lot
right.
cheaper than that, but
I'm sure the dollar store you can get some brushes there. So yeah.
Yeah. I did feel personally called out reading through this because they have a section on like brush care, and they're like, don't put your fucking brushes submerged in water tip down, you trash monster. They don't say trash monster, but it made it feel like that. Like,
It implies
seriously,
a trash monster.
It does. Like, big bold, never leave your ghost brush or any paintbrush sitting submerged in water, a bunch of stuff. Seriously, stop dropping your brushes hair down inside a water cup. It's like, damn. Like, how do you know how I paint? So, yeah. I don't know. I probably won't back this because I don't really want to throw $75 at brushes, because although I want to do more painting, especially because I probably have a Reaper's pledge hopefully coming in a few months. I don't, and I probably won't. So that would be a waste of $75 at this time. But they do look really cool.
Well, I have a lot of 40K miniatures to paint now, so
yeah,
I should stop playing Viking and paint.
Yeah, Adrian, it also would depend, because if you did get this, even if you got the Reapers in a couple months, you wouldn't be painting until November. So would you?
Also a valid point.
You get those minis and you're like, all right, and now I'm going to set these off for 6 months and do nothing with them.
Yeah, which would just really increase the chances that they would not get painted.
Exactly.
I mean, I still have the first Reaper set I bought that is largely unassembled, let alone painted. So
it's good that you bought you bought another one.
Correct.
That'll really help the progress.
I assemble them as I need them. You know, like if you're gonna fight a dragon, I'll build a dragon before you fight the dragon in my D&D game, which is why I built a dragon. And then COVID happened, and my campaign that I was playing in person ground to a halt. Anyway, next up on Kickstarter, moving away from the GhosTiny fine detail paintbrush set.
Indeed. Next up on Kickstarter, we have Centurion. Just funded $16,000 of its $15,000 goal. Just over 200 backers, just under 2 weeks left to pledge, which you can for about $60.
Indeed. So Centurion is the next in the profile system from Catalyst Games. You may recognize less the system, but the game Jarl, which is a 2-player like tile game of fighting Vikings.
Or Duke.
And then Duke was the original one that came out even before Jarl, way back in 2013. And so essentially the way the game plays is you each have a set of troops that are made of tiles, and the tiles show how that different types of tile can have different rules of movement, similar to chess in that regard. And like it shows on the tile how that tile can move. And the goal is to defeat your enemies, like by capturing their Duke in Duke, or capturing their Jarl in Jarl. And in Centurion, you're trying to capture the Centurion. The big difference for this one, so each time they've done a new version of this, they've made modifications to like how the tiles move and like the overall like type of gameplay they're going for. So like Jarl, they talked about gave up some of the Duke's charging and flanking abilities in place of stronger defensive strategies. And so in Centurion, the new innovation for this one is that some of the tiles will be double-sided. And so one side will represent an offensive formation and the other side will represent a defensive formation. And so as you play, at the end of any movement or special ability you do with a tile, you flip it over. So you'll have to keep swapping back and forth between what it does. It won't do the same thing each turn. It will alternate. So that seems kind of cool to me, I think.
The Jarl is just like that dude from that Vikings TV show on the cover, right?
Yeah, like, and I'm pretty sure the V on the like cover of it is also like the V from the Vikings. Like I don't know if they licensed that or not, but anyway, for Centurion, there's going to be 13 different soldier tiles that are double-sided. and then 19 total pieces. So that'll mix things up. It is also able to be played asymmetrically with the tile sets from Duke or Jarl. So if you already have either or both of those previous games, this can be played with them. And then they have a variety of like add-ons and things for additional types of tiles. Like there's a Roman Auxiliaries pack that has 8 tiles, 4 for each player, to add the Cataphract, Chariot, Hoplite, and War Elephant. They've got a Generals tile pack that adds 4 different vaguely Roman-esque, Roman time period, Roman-themed generals. Scipio, Julius Caesar, Hannibal Barca, and Alaric the Goth. Alaric? I don't know.
Alaric?
So, I can't tell with their font if it's supposed to be Alaric or Alaric. I don't know.
Oh, because the I and the K.
I think that's
I think it's
AK,
R.
not
I think it's RIC.
That could be. Yes, I will agree with you. I will say that it's probably supposed to be Alaric.
Specifically Alaric the First.
There you go. So yeah. They have other add-ons and stuff like playmats and things like that. But I don't know. I have played Jarl. I think Paul owns a copy.
Yes, I think he might have Jarl and Duke.
Okay. I don't think
Duke.
I've played Duke. Huh?
Nothing.
Oh.
Just Tenacious D references.
Oh.
Let's make him a Duke. Kick-ass Duke. It's from the City Hall song. It's fine.
Sure. But yeah, so I have played Jarl. I liked Jarl. These type of 2-player tile type strategy games are games that I dig. So yeah, pretty cool. That's Centurion.
And last up on Kickstarter this week, we have Forests of Radgost. Very well funded, $193,000 of its $75,000 goal, over 1,800 backers, and just under 2 weeks left to go, which you could pledge at its most popular level of $129.
Yes, so the 100+ miniature game of the week, the theme of those has been and continues to be cooperative storytelling games, which is what this is. This one, however, is unique in that it is based on Slavic mythology. So essentially the vague storyline behind this one is that there is a scary forest at the edge of your village that everyone is supposed to stay out of, but then 2 kids fall asleep in a boat playing hide and seek and are washed into the river, which carries them deep into the woods. So you are chosen to join the search party to go rescue the kids. And so you venture out of the village into the woods to go find the kids. As you move along the paths on the player board, you'll come to different intersections, which you then roll a set of dice. So there's like a direction die, and then depending on your character, you have various speed die, like D6, D8, D10, D12, so on and so forth. So you roll both of them, and the direction die will tell you if you get to choose or if you are forced to go left or right, and then the other die tells you how far you go along it. And then you move along the trail and you explore the woods. Hidden all throughout the woods, or not really hidden, like you can see them, are these face-down tokens. And when you reach a token, you reveal what monster, thing, or creature it is, and then put that out as a mini onto the board, and then you go to that character's little, like, foldy storyboard thing, which will tell you, like, is this a good creature? Is this a bad creature? And will tell you what you have to do. One of the interesting things is that your options are basically run, hide, stand your ground, to talk or fight. But then later on, they mention that, like, there is no real fighting. Like, there's no killing or attacking or things like that. So, don't know how that'll work. Like, I guess you can fight, but you can't kill. Because if you kill something, then you become an enemy of the woods and you will definitely be destroyed. So
Seems fine.
yeah. No hacking or slashing in Forest of Radgost. Killing a creature would incite the wrath of the gods, which would spell doom for the village. You have to outwit or outmaneuver creatures by other means.
Can't tell me what to do, gods.
Yeah. You have a bunch of different characters to choose from. 8 base ones, and I think a couple stretch goal ones. That give you different things that you can kind of do. Influence things like your speed and stuff like that. They claim that like you can jump into the game late. So like if you say 5 of you agree to play and 2 people are running behind, you can start playing, and then as the other 2 show up, they can just grab a character and jump right in. Like that there's no penalty for that, which I don't know how that would actually work. This game includes also 9 different decks of over 200 cards total that influence like events and different stuff like that happens. They represent like collectible plants, animals, objects, side quests, companions, things like that. All of which are chosen for the magical significance to ancient Slavic people. But because of that and all that variety, each playthrough should be fairly unique, and will influence greatly what you do. And it seems like there's a little bit of a like leveling type thing you can do for your characters as you play, multiple games. So, yeah.
It seems neat. It's got a lot of miniatures, which, as is tradition, probably aren't totally necessary.
For sure not.
But,
some of them are really good. Some of them I'm a little on.
They've got a style.
They definitely have a style. But, yeah.
Or you can just buy the miniatures for $50 without the game. If you really want.
If that's what you want to do.
So you can get the game for $100, or you can get all the minis for $50. So what you're saying is this game is $50.
Correct.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Can I pledge $50 to just get the game?
You can actually pledge $64 to get just the game with no minis.
Okay, standees.
Yep.
All right.
So the game is $50, the standees are $15, and the minis are $50. And you can mix and match accordingly.
And the $130 pledge is 10 times as many people as any of those other ones. So
unsurprising.
Yeah, people like minis.
Yeah. It also gets you the big bonus miniature that is only in that pledge.
Yes, and a dice cup, I think.
And marble textured dice. And you get the minis and the standees. You get fucking everything in that $130 pledge.
Cool.
So yeah, that's Forest of Radgost.
And that's it for Kickstarter.
Indeed it is. That moves us over to some listener feedback type stuff. No new emails in the listener feedback. However, we did have a new YouTube comment on our playthrough of Feast for Odin with Norwegians on Tabletop Simulator a little while back. Metacross comments, very entertaining, love the dynamic you have. We do indeed have a dynamic.
Yes.
And some people like it.
Some people indeed.
Yep. That's it for listener feedback. If you want to give us some listener feedback, there are a bunch of different ways to do so. You can send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
We have an Instagram account, Instagram @MHGameGuys. Facebook, facebook.com/MHGameGuys. Our website, milehighgameguys.com. We learned if you go to milehighgameguys.com/shop, you see a very generic Wix shopping cart. So that's a thing. There's nothing in there that's real. But if you want to look at generic Wix stuff, there you go. You can also look at some old episode show notes, which have links to things like our Slack channel and our BGG guild number 2731. And then you can also catch our sibling show, MHDD, the D&D live roleplay show that we do on the side, that I do on the side, every other Tuesday over on twitch.tv/MHGameGuys, as well as occasionally catching things like that stream of Feast for Odin that the previous person commented on. So, yeah. Lots of different ways to get a hold of us if that's what you would like to do. We also encourage you to go check out Punchboard Media. We are proud members of Punchboard Media, and punchboardmedia.com, the website over there, has a whole bunch of different content, videos, written content, photos, audio stuff, all kinds of different things, reviews, previews, interviews, all kinds of things from a bunch of different people. So definitely go check that out. A bunch of cool things over there. We continue to be really happy to be a member of Punchboard Media. And then we also would like to thank our sponsors, Gray Fox Games, for their continued sponsoring of the show. Jump over to their website, grayfoxgames.com, where you can late pledge for one of their more recent Kickstarters, For Science, the fast-paced cooperative block stacking game where you're racing to find a cure for a pandemic. See, it's topical. Go check it out. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for us?
Of course. Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, Rex is the first actual prototype model. They've been doing virtual prototyping for a while now. They pop it into a VR simulation while it's still in the design phase. That way they can make improvements to the design while testing it under all sorts of simulated conditions. Even though it's a prototype, it's extremely well designed.
Sure.
Apparently that Metal Gear Solid game's running into some problems.
Oh, yeah?
What? No. Never.
I don't believe that.
They may have taken it down from their, website?
Oh.
For pre-orders or something?
That seems right.
Yeah.
Damn.
We'll see.
Indeed we will. But yeah, that wraps up the whole show. Thanks everybody for listening. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Meaty Jeff.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media, where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.